Join us as we explore a behind-the-scenes look at the vibrant world of creative expression as we connect with talented artists and discerning collectors.
This is your invitation to join us and follow along on an exciting and inspirational journey through the red doors. So welcome to episode 3 of Live Through the Red Doors, benefiting St. Tammany Art Association, featuring Inga Falterman. I'm Mike Arnold.
And I'm Danny Saladino.
And we want to take you guys through a journey with local St. Tammany artists and collectors behind the scenes and through live Q&As and get more in touch with the art community on the North Shore. So enjoy this episode. Enjoy Inga. Thank you to our sponsor, Baldwin Subaru. And here we go.
We're going to start with the president of the St. Tammany Art Association, Diana Stanley, and let her say a few words about the organization.
Thank you, Danny and Mike. I'm so excited everybody's here. I'm going to go ahead and sit down. Sorry about the sun, so I might be a little blinded. But so the St. Tammany Art Association is something that is really dear to a lot of people here. We are a nonprofit, and our main goal is to supply support for artists and really help give people the tools that they need to succeed as an artist and bring arts to the community. So some of the ways that we do that, we have our main gallery in our Covington location off of Columbia Street, which is where they've gotten the title Through the Red Doors. We've got our infamous red doors there. And we also have our members gallery there where members of the Art Association can submit their artwork to be displayed and potentially purchased. We have a lot of art markets throughout the year where they can also display their art there as well. One of the things that we're really excited about that is coming up soon is our summer show. And it's our 55th anniversary of the summer show, and we had 350 submissions, which is the most we've ever had. And so we're very excited about that. We would love if everybody came out. We do a lot of events with the city of Covington, as well as some of our own events to help raise money. Because we are a nonprofit, the majority of the people that are dear to the Art Association are all volunteers, and we've got one very hardworking, loyal employee as well. So we have our board of directors as well as our artist advisory board, which helps with everything in our front gallery. So if y'all are ever wanting to get more involved in the arts, we're always looking for more help, and we're so grateful for what Subaru has donated in support for the Art Association, and we hope to continue with the partnership moving forward. If you are interested in maybe getting involved, come see us. We're open Tuesday through Saturday, and we would love to see everybody.
At the summer show, is that a ticketed event or that's open to the public?
It's open.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, thank you to Miss Diana Stanley, president of STAA, St. Tammany Art Association. So let's give her a nice round of applause.
Thank you.
Next up, we're going to have Miss Lindsay Rose, who is the marketing director at Baldwin Subaru. She's been here for a while, and can't thank Lindsay and Richard and Jennifer Baldwin. Richard and Jennifer in the very back, so thank you to them. Help out the community a ton. They've been involved with several nonprofit organizations since I started working with them on different projects about 4 years ago. So, Lindsay, tell us a little bit about how Baldwin Subaru helps out the community, Subaru in general, nationwide.
So we're very lucky that we are with a brand who's so encouraging and supportive of different pillars that they actually ask us to support. We have 5. We have Loves to Care, which supports cancer patients, Loves the Earth, which is going to be earth conservation efforts. We have Loves Pets, which is everyone's favorite typically. We work with our local shelters here. We have Loves to Help, which would be homeless individuals and children, and Loves Learning, which we supply local schools with funding for their teachers in their classrooms. But we also have other initiatives like Share the Love, where we will select 2 hometown charities that we usually cycle through, and we will donate $250 per car that we sell for that time period. Amongst other things, Subaru, of course, loves the arts, and we are grateful to have that encouragement from Subaru, but we also have been here for 75 years. This is something that we would do no matter what, and we have done for 75 years, and we're very excited. And what better time whenever we finish the completion of our new renovation for this dealership. We had lots of white walls, and when we were offered the opportunity to partner with a local artist, we were jumping with joy. What better opportunity to get a beautiful piece of art that we'll have forever.
So it kind of speaks to it. So Baldwin Subaru being here for 75 years, the STA been around for 65, almost 70 years, and it's taken that long to make that collaboration. So get out, meet your neighbors. Everybody in this room helps the community so much, and a lot of you don't even know what the person next to you is doing to help, and you are all helping everybody. So meet your neighbors, learn what they're doing, learn who they support, and it really helps out Covington and the North Shore. So thank you, Lindsay.
So now we're going to invite Inga Falterman, the artist who did these murals and the carving, to say a few words.
Thank you, Inga.
You said I didn't have to prepare anything.
Well, I had my cell phone in my pocket, so I told everybody to mute theirs, and mine started vibrating while Lindsay was talking, so I had to dump it. So that's live TV.
Well, thanks for having me, and I thank the St. Tammany Art Association, and of course Baldwin Subaru and Covington for being a big advocate for me in the past.
So to kind of get started, so the format here, we have a few questions. We obviously want to talk about the murals you've done in the showroom, the service department, the beautiful carving around the corner. How did you get started as an artist? What was your inspiration? Can you kind of lead us down that road?
Yes, but it's a little simple. So I just always drew, and I love that one of the pillars of Subaru is learning, because from day one in kindergarten, my art teacher invited me back into the classroom when I had lunch, and that's what my elementary school was. So teachers make a big difference. And then I just kept drawing.
And you're a teacher yourself now, too.
Yes, yeah. I was my dad is a retired organic chemist, and he taught at University of Richmond since I was born. And I was always hoping to teach college. And after grad school, I started teaching college, and I'm teaching a couple classes at Southeastern. And so I'm really nervous because there are people out there, and I should not be nervous because I talk in front of students all the time, but sometimes your heart keeps beating and you're like, God, why am I nervous? But I'm loving it.
Yeah, but you do a ton outside of teaching and the arts. I know kayak, hunting. You grew up in nature. I know that's a big inspiration for you on some of the pieces that we've seen. Kind of explain the inspiration from nature and all the stuff you do.
Yeah, we were pretty fun family. My dad, again, a teacher, he also builds boats. A little past a hobby, so he is commissioned, so I'm pretty proud of him. He's like, don't ask me chemistry. I don't do that anymore. And my mom was a dental hygienist, but she was the kind of woman who sewed our clothes, and she sewed the cushions on the boat. She made the curtains. She made us all kinds of stuff. She did all the things. And she painted when I was little. And as soon as I started painting, this is where, like, I know it was Mother's Day, but everybody needs to thank their moms. And but when I started to be really interested in the arts, this is really sad. She stopped painting because she didn't want to, like, compete with me or like deter me from doing anything. And we have paintings of hers all in the house, and I'm really sad that she stopped painting. But yeah, we're always doing stuff.
Well, and it's not just painting. So the first time that I was introduced to Inga's work was at the Art Association, and she had textile work, sort of underlit quilt on a small bed, these carvings, these stitching pieces, paintings. You carve swordfish bills, so multi-talented, not just a painter, and that blew me away.
Thanks,
So
Danny.
I see a lot of artists that it takes a lot to focus on one thing and really achieve that thing. You know, having a thought is a big part of the arts, but execution is something that takes a lifetime to learn. But to be so talented at so many different things, that's a big deal.
So when it came to the pieces here, I know in our first meetings, Richard had some ideas and some sketches, and we took a hard right turn from some of them and circled back to a few of them. So if everybody hasn't seen all three pieces, you know, obviously one's right above us here. Check out the other two before you leave. They're all amazing. And so talking about the birds first up here, Inga, kind of give us a background of what you were looking for. I know there's a kind of a relationship between what's in here and what's in there from the views and the skies and things like that. So kind of walk us through the two murals.
Yeah, well, I started with the far mural because I figured as a customer, because I guess that's what I would be, right, when you walk in. So I'd walk in from dropping my car off, and then there's that big wall by the service desk, and it should be fun and evocative of the environment around us. And then how would this space link up with that one? And so you have birds here that are a little more described than in the other mural. That one is a lot of color and it's pretty joyous, and the rivers are there, and then you come in here and they're up high and you can relate to the one over there. So the murals change a space and they help you travel through the building. And I'm always hoping that you are thinking about why they have that imagery and why it's relevant to you. And so I think that people like to see where they live in a different light, and it's a good part of Subaru, I think, because you have a pretty prevalent environmental ethic within Subaru. And again, what Lindsay said about all the pillars as well. So I don't want to be too didactic, right? It should be fun. So I hope I kept it on that side.
Speaking of fun and adventurous spirit, you mentioned taking a trip with your dad.
Yes.
Coming up soon, 2 days.
Yep. We leave on Wednesday, but that's really off topic, but I'll go there.
It is, but it's the spirit of adventure, and
Yeah,
it's also
so
just really cool to hear
my
that.
dad and he just finished a boat, and we're kind of stealing it. I think that's bad that I just said that. But he's like, let's take it sort of on a shakedown cruise before we deliver it, and we'll row it around Manhattan. So we're doing that on Saturday. Yeah, so I hope that the weather holds. Yeah, see, Richard likes that. Yeah. Yeah.
So the carving that's around the corner in the hallway over there, I know Richard and Lindsay both wanted to try to show all the different schools and different things in nature and relating to their mascots and things like that. So kind of walk us through the carving process and where you're trying to go with it.
Well, the Love Promise logo is about, correct me if I'm wrong, Lindsay, but it's about making the local dealership more than just a dealership. And so it's promising the efforts towards those 5 pillars. And so that is in the center of the wreath. And then there are similar animals in the wreath that you see in the rest of the murals. And honestly, like, the piece of wood is so beautiful. And so the wood speaks to me first, and then you see the logo, and then you can see all the other things in there. So.
And if you hadn't watched the first 2 episodes of Through the Red Doors, they kind of give you a behind the scenes on that. We can, before you leave, if you need access to it, just come find me or Danny. We can give you the link. But they're 2 amazing episodes, and you did a great job on that. So. So your 2 base colors we were talking about earlier, one of them being sienna, and the other being cobalt blue, which I think is what Dr. Socks has on his beard today. So how do you go to those 2 colors for your base colors?
I love that you're flexing your underpainting muscles right now.
Look, not to get off topic, but to give you a backstory, and Inga knows this, and Danny obviously does. So about, I don't know, 2 years ago, Danny, or so, Carlos Sanchez told me, he says, I need your help with art for the New Heights fundraisers and something like that. So I literally left Del Porto, walked down the street, walked into Danny's gallery, and said, "Hi, I'm Mike Arnold. I know nothing about art." And we've been talking every day since about art. So that's how you get to this place. So I know nothing about base colors. I just know those are your 2. And
Yeah, so that's for a totally different process, but we can roll with that. Then, so if I start a oil painting, then I usually start with underpainting with those 2 colors. So you have warm and cool fighting each other. That'll help you out with depth and form and shape. And so in the murals, it's all latex paint. And so now I'm going to flex my art muscles. So latex paint is very superficial. One color goes on top of the other, covers up the other. Oil paint remembers what is underneath, which makes them luminous and so beautiful. So you start with color and you build color towards the surface. And so, and for your quick color theory lesson, everyone, warm colors advance, cool colors recede. So that helps out with the 2 colors and the underpainting. Yeah. Areas of high contrast advance, low contrast recedes. Everybody writing this down? High saturation advances, low saturation recedes. You got that, Mike?
test next week.
Yes, okay.
So how different is the process of when you approach a painting on panel or canvas or whatnot, and when you're approaching a large-scale mural with a different substrate?
They're really different because I'm usually very intense and I'm thinking about something in particular, my outcome. What am I trying to solve? I'm trying to solve some visual language challenge with an oil painting. Not that you don't do that here, but it's something that I want you to look at and think about for a long time. It's more introspective. Yeah, it's a bigger cerebral journey. And then the murals are so fun because people walk in. I want them to enjoy what the murals have to offer. They're not going to stand in front of it and think about what stories they can bring to it necessarily for the next week. But so it changes the space that people walk through, and the murals are really rewarding because they make people happy, and I love the process of them probably more than the result because everybody's happy to watch the process. Right. So when I get to paint in schools, it's so fun because the kids are walking by and they're asking what's going on, what are you doing, can I help? And then when you're painting in Subaru, like the workers are doing the same thing. And I think there was like a fight on, hey, can I put my initials on the corner? DC, I think one of
So you really don't have to, when you're approaching your fine art pieces, you don't have to consider the environment it's going to hang in at all. But when you're doing a mural, it's all about the environment, right? Like the space that you're putting this piece in changes the space. Or do you think when you're painting a fine art piece, do you think about eventually what home or space that's going to hang in?
I think it might boil down to selfishness, selfishness in a good way, where when I'm working on a painting for me, that's about me. That's what I have to say about the world out there, or what I'm thinking, or what I have to solve. And when I'm painting a mural, that's for you And so it kind of lifts the burden off of me, and I think that makes the enjoyment slide into a different space, so it becomes even more fun.
So which one's more challenging? Is a commission from a client more challenging? Or
That
when
sounds
you're-
like a
you're trying to
Mike
be
question. I'm sorry.
And here's your mic question.
No, they're totally two different challenges, because the painting in the studio, then I have challenges of, is it good enough? Is it good enough to go on the wall? I have a challenge of people walking in and like, Mom, I need something, or where's this? There's this heightened intellectual approach that I hold myself to. And the mural is just as hard because it is labor intensive, and it is for somebody who has expectations that are different than mine. So they're just two different work. They're two different works, but they both demand rigorous work ethic.
So you were working on a mural project, another one in Covington, right before you started this one at
Yes.
the art house
Yes.
in Covington. Was that the first time you've ever had to do your art but keep the historic presence of the washateria price and things like that in the background, or do you run into that a lot?
Well, that was the first giant mural I've ever done. So that I needed a boom lift, which was so fun. That was great. And the electrical guy came and he had to turn the power off so I wouldn't electrocute myself. I said, I just have a goal. I don't want to die. He said, let's keep that goal. So he turned the power off for me. And I was like, oh, your lift is bigger than mine. He's like, yeah, but you're doing a good job. And so that was a lot of work. And then that was through Visit the North Shore, who paid for that grant. So there are murals across St. Tammany Parish with that same grant money. And it was really fun because, I proposed 2 images. It went through the Art Association. Everybody said, yes, let's go for it. And so we went for it, and then we ended up with that, and it preserves the signage that was on the wall and makes everybody happy.
It's amazing. So tell us something we don't know about you. I know you hate squirrel meat. You've eaten bear meat pizza. And so tell us something we don't know besides those two.
Any questions
that's a
from the
mic
audience?
question, 100%. Yeah, we might want to go straight to
We're gonna cut that one out.
Are you doing the show coming up, the 350 people show?
Honestly, I did apply to that, but I didn't have anything that was sort of size appropriate in my mind, so I'm not banking on any kind of inclusion. It's a juried entry, which is really exciting, and the juror is Sasha Newkirk, and she is pretty impressive. She has a pretty impressive resume from being curator of a bunch of shows in New York City, so we're really excited to have her. And then to have a bunch of artists from across the country is really wonderful, because I think that with the Art Association, I would hope that we are excited to share views from not just here, but also from everywhere else too. That's important.
So if you have questions, the audience, just raise your hand and I'll come up with a mic.
And I've never used a mic before. I think I'm doing okay.
You're doing great. So my name's Amy. I'm Amy Rose Art in Bay St. Louis, and I'm doing my first show the end of May. Do you have any advice for that? It's Bayfest. It's like a little, but 10 by 10, and I have my own studio there, but I have large pieces. I'm trying to keep them smaller so I can manipulate them, and they're fragile. So any advice for my first show, my first tent? Anybody? I mean, have you done this? I mean,
I have not done the
okay.
tent thing. That's uncharted territory.
I'm a little nervous about it, so I
That sounds like you're really good at the microphone and being social, so have fun.
okay. That's my middle name, so.
Sorry, I wish I was more.
Anybody else have any questions?
Inga,
Yes,
when you're
ma'am.
doing a mural the size of what you did outside of the Art Association and you have to go through the process of hiring a boom elevator for a specific amount of time, what's your process of laying out the mural and the base and what you choose to do in the time frame that you have that lift?
I kept that composition very simple. I was a little nervous, like the boom lift guy, he dropped it off and he's like, this is never gonna work. I'm like, dude, negative Nancy on day one, not okay. Like, I don't need to hear that right now. It's gonna be fine. And he's like, it's not gonna be fine. I'm like, you can leave now. So he left, and then I looked at the wall, I'm like, oh boy, like this is big. And so what I did, even before I got on the boom lift, I had a little roller and I put it on a big extension pole and I just drew it out with paint, and it's just the water line, the two water lines that you see above and below, and I knew I had a landmark on the left side and a landmark on the right side, and if I got that curve right, everything will fall into place. So I do think, Amy, this goes to you too, like when you make work, you are really vulnerable. You are putting yourself out there. And so you have to commit to that and it's like anything else, everybody, we always put ourselves on the line, no matter what your discipline is, but you have to commit to that and just be bold, and it'll work out step by step. So that row around Manhattan, I'm like, oh my gosh, when we launch, it's going to be kind of intimidating, but I'm just going to look at Dad and say, let's go for a row. And that's how you do it. And it's fun, like that's fun. And so you fail forward, who cares if you fail, but as long as you fail and you learn from it, then it's okay. I think the arts are full of lots of failures.
Hi, Inga.
Hi.
So as a fellow bird painter, I'm wondering if there is a local bird that you really enjoy the form of, maybe as a favorite, or something that maybe symbolizes something special to you that you kind of connect with?
I love the swallowtail kite for a bunch of reasons. So if you ask me my favorite duck, that would be something else. That would be the canvasback, because he's so elegant. And the swallowtail kite is just as elegant. He's always in his tuxedo. But I mean, they're gorgeous. They're long and graceful, and the way they fly and hunt and all the things, and they migrate. And so just like the osprey, here comes March, and then you're looking at the sky and there's one, and then you see the next one. So those harbingers of the seasons are really beautiful for all of us. And then a good friend of mine, Dr. Jennifer Colson, does a lot of studies on those. So my kids are pretty lucky. Like we've all trapped swallowtail kites and banded them and looked for their nests and stuff. You go for hikes in the woods and put up the mist net and have an owl there to try to bring them in, and you're like, what? I get to be a part of this? So it's fun. Yeah. Thanks for asking that. That's nice.
So what role do your outside interests play in when you create art? You've touched on a little bit with the birds just now, but what else?
I think and I think that I'm not very good at being an adult. And so my time in my life, I feel like, I think I'm old enough now that I'm like, I've had lots of lifetimes. But I have, and those times before I came down here and married and have kids, like that's the hard part, because that takes you a little bit away from what makes you you. Now you have other people that make you you again. So there's another you, and you bring your old you to that new you. And see, I'm talking in circles, and this is really embarrassing, but there's a lot of yous. And so my upbringing with living, my family was always like, I don't know if this is fair to say, but I feel like, has anybody ever heard like the most unattractive man to a woman is one that appears to be doing nothing. Have you heard that?
I thought we all appeared that way. No?
I wholeheartedly believe that. Like, so my family, we were always doing something. We were always fixing something. We were always building something, always making something. There was always something. So maybe we're not very good at resting. And so there's that, and we were always outside doing things. And then when I left home, I worked for an environmental ed organization for a while, and that I was sleeping outside all the time, surrounded by kids on rivers. You know, it was fun. And then I then I went to grad school in Brooklyn, and that was hard. And I was a bike messenger in Manhattan, and that was hard. And I have a party trick. I bet I've been hit by more cars than anybody in this room. And then I went out to Colorado, and I was always camping outside and playing outside. And playing and joy is such an important part of life. And then when you have to slow down a little bit so you make other people joyous and learn to play, then there's just that kind of growing up. And I don't want to grow up. And so you don't have to, but you have to. So with my artwork, usually I think for painters, the stuff that happens in the studio, I will go out on a limb and I'll say that I think painters in general paint heartbreak and love, and that's pretty much sums it up. And so all those things that come along with that, it's just life. So, yeah. The outside is really important to me because I feel like I'm me most, I guess. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I was wondering, you expressed some of your experiences with your mother before.
Mm-hmm.
And what has it been like for you, and what did you learn along the way, whether you were doing group painting or painting with your mom or without, but exercises and whatnot that helped you along your way and helping others feel inspired?
Oh, that's a big question. I think everybody has a mother part of them in them because I'm teaching. I love to get people involved. And I think that everybody can draw. It doesn't matter what you're doing, or what the result is, but everybody can draw, everybody can do something and learn about themselves through that. So I don't know if it's just my mom in particular. I just think that it's our responsibility to get other people to be engaged in everything they can. I know that's sort of a lame answer, but yeah. Yes, Peggy.
Sorry, go ahead. That's okay. So I will tell you, I watched your first 2 episodes, and you were fantastic. You were as authentic as an artist could be. You were real, and I believed it. So I thought that was great. So with that being said, I'd like to know what your favorite painting that you've ever done was. And I'd also like to know, aside from Subaru, we know that is near and dear to your heart. And then also, what was the most challenging piece you've ever done?
The most what?
Challenging piece you've ever done.
Okay.
So your favorite and the most challenging.
Okay, wait, before I answer that, I want to say that Blue Dot Productions they are responsible for how good those videos are, because if it wasn't for them asking questions, they're fantastic. You guys did a great job, so thank you very much. So my favorite work I've ever done, it's hard and it's not hard because I have a couple, But I'll tell you, I'm a printmaker. I have my MFA in printmaking from Pratt a long time ago. My favorite etching, and I did a lot of work on copper and I did lithography, but my favorite etching I ever did is called Secure Your Assets. And it was my house in Braithwaite when I first moved down here, and we lost it in Katrina. But I made it with 3 etches and just a few lines, and it was the most minimalistic thing I've ever done. But I don't know if you've ever seen houses with like wires from points in the houses to keep them secured so they don't blow away. They do that, I guess they used to do that in the Northeast. And we have hurricane ties here if you build a house and you put the hurricane ties in. But it was really simple and really effective. And I love the simplistic language of line. And as far as a painting, I always have a favorite with the last body of work I made because I'm always getting better. And so it's not like I disdain the works in the past, but I'm better. So I love them more and they get more challenging and I'm better at solving those challenges. So I had 2 big paintings for last show. I had a solo show at Danny's and I had 2 10-foot paintings. They were 4 by 10 feet. One was red and it was called Swimming with Me, or Red, and it's just grasses underwater and you're up close. And I love the color and I wanted it to be a blue painting, but it just ended up being white negative space or off-white and then these waving red grasses. And they don't have to be the grasses, but they just put you in a place and hopefully makes you slow down to be in that spot. And then the other painting is more of a story, and it's called Swimming with Moss, and Moss is my son. And we had gone to Maine last summer, the 2 of us, and we were swimming in a lake, and we were snorkeling, and he would swim underneath me, and we were down deep, and I could see the the underwater grasses, and he was beautiful, and it was all shimmering, and I was so excited, and this is kind of embarrassing. Like, I was so excited. I'm like, I haven't lived like this in a long time, and I'm shaking, and my heart's going crazy, and I feel like, God, I'm conditioned to having freaking alligators next to me. There are no alligators here. Like, why is my heart going like this? So I'd have to come up out of the water and take a breath in order to calm down. And then I'd go under, and there would be Moss swimming, and he's just gorgeous. And so the painting is a big blue painting, and it has the grasses. And my goal for that painting is that I wanted to get the shimmer of the grass. And the water was tan and stained, so it should be like brown purple. But I'm like, who wants a big 10-foot painting of like weird brown purple? I don't know if that's going to work. And I started with Mike Arnold's Cobalt Blue for the underpainting. I love it when things come full circle, thanks. And so it was this, everybody fell in love with the underpainting. And I'm like, I'm not done yet. I haven't even started. Now I'm going to screw it up because everybody likes the underpainting. But I kept at it, and I don't know if it's as successful as I wanted it to be, but I love that painting because of the story, and I love my attempt. You're welcome. Thank you.
So, Inga?
Yes.
Yes, I know how well you play, and you were talking about it a moment ago. You're good at it. Can you talk about the relationship between play and creativity?
It's important. It's imperative. And it's about failing. And Danny had talked about me making quilts and carving and painting. And so that is a lot of play. And it's not necessarily like running around playing, falling on the ground in the flowers kind of thing, but it's important because you learn how to do one thing by doing another. And so play helps you be stronger over here, and your whole mind needs to play and relax and do different things. So it's important. If you don't play, how do you build your own narrative for creativity. And it's important for us to have our own narrative. So that's your question, Kathy, about my own narrative.
Inga, we have a question over here.
Okay. Oh, hey, yay.
What is your favorite school art project?
Oh, wait a second. Like my own that I make for other people, or the one that I've done, or like that I've seen my kids do?
Both.
The one that I make my own students do. Have you ever read The Little Prince? Okay, I'm going to get you The Little Prince. The Little Prince is a little boy, in simplest terms, and he travels all around to different planets. But in the beginning, the first chapter is my favorite chapter because he says, grown-ups, you have to explain everything to grown-ups. And the narrator draws a picture, and it looks like a hat, but it's not a hat. He draws a picture of a boa constrictor eating an elephant, but it looks like a hat. And he shows it to the grown-ups, and the grown-ups say, "It's a nice picture of a hat." He's like, oh, they don't see anything. And then he shows the hat drawing to people he meets sometimes because he wants to know what kind of grown-up they are. And he said, usually they just see a hat and then they want to talk about golf and neckties. And I'm done with that, so I am polite and then I move on. And so the project that I give my students, we are talking about line and contour. And with one line, you can show the surface of an entire object. You don't need value or color. You can do it with line. Line is beautiful. It's your handwriting. You write in cursive. Sometimes it's good. It's good for your hands. It's good motor skills. It'll help you out with your drawing. So with line, you have pressure and speed and weight, and you can show all kinds of emotion and surface of anything. And so I get them to wrap an object with a sheet or a blanket, and then I tell them to do a contour drawing of that object underneath the sheet, and we all try to guess what it is underneath the sheet in class. So I get to tell my students that grown-ups need to be explained everything, and then we also get to do a good drawing project. And then my favorite project I've ever done, I don't know. I think that it might be, I'll twist my answer a little bit. So whenever I go to the marsh, I can't help but braid all the grasses together, like in a big long line or all over the place. And so I just like to play with the land and do some kind of project like that. Yeah. And my kids, anything that makes them proud of themselves now because they're older, but also anything that makes them smile. It's really important.
Any other questions?
I'm curious about your mother. I'm sorry to bring that back up, but did she continue to do art or did she stop completely?
No, she stopped painting. She totally stopped painting. And her sister was a pretty good painter, and she painted, but nope, Mom stopped painting. She knitted. She's like crazy knitter. I remember I tried knitting. She got all excited. She gave me like a gazillion knitting needles, like in the big thing that took up half the corner, because you're like, yeah, great, Mom, thanks for the 100 different sizes of needles. And all I was making was these little like felted circle bags.
How old was she when that happened? When she stopped?
Oh gosh. Oh, when she stopped painting?
Yeah.
Oh, I bet I was like 10 or 12.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, early. Yeah. But I was gonna say, like, I gave her one of the things I knitted, and she made these big blankets with cables and all kinds of stuff. She's is Northern European. She's, I don't know, and she was like, "Well, how'd you make that?" I'm like, "Mom, there's the instructions." She's like, "What is that?" Like, you're crazy. So, yeah.
Anybody else? Well, Danny, we'll come back up here and start wrapping it up. Inga, can't thank you enough.
Oh, thank you, guys.
Yep. So if you'd like to hear more from Inga, you can check out the first 2 episodes on YouTube, or you can enroll in the fall semester at Southeastern and take her class. That's another way. So Lindsay has one more announcement. So let's give a round of applause for Inga.
I do want to build off and give you a different perspective on how we ended up with this before I make my really important announcement. I think all of our artists can appreciate working with clients and their many wants. When she first came and we walked the space, she was like, what do you envision? And we're like, oh, we want rainbows and dogs and all of our pillars wrapped into one. And if you could put some Subaru stars at the top. And she was like, if we could narrow this down to like one pillar. And we're like, okay. And she's like, I suggest maybe Loves the Earth. You want very local, community driven. How about we do local wildlife? And we're like, okay, that sounds pretty good. And honestly, it came out so beautiful. When we asked for all the colors, she gave us that in our service drive because we wanted the customers to be able to see it when they drove up through the glass. And she put 3 rivers, which our owner, Richard, grew up his whole life on there. So it was just like a perfect little touch of their family right in the middle of that mural for us. But I thought it's funny because we have all these things that we envisioned, and then she gave us this beautiful piece of art at the end that we're like, okay, that looks pretty good.
Yeah, I remember the beginning of that and where we started and where we ended up. So tell us about this big announcement and how else Baldwin Subaru is going to help out the art community.
Yeah, so, we've gone through this process and we've gotten this beautiful art, and we were thinking, me and Richard were talking, it's important to the Baldwin family, and of course we always want to extend how can we help our community and how are we going to help our local artists. So we are rolling out a purchase program for all of the artists associated with the St. Tammany Art Association. They're going to get special pricing, and I'm telling you, it'll be very affordable. We understand, artists are starting from all levels and they need a great car, and we're here to provide that for them.
Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Richard. Jennifer? Let's give Lindsay a round of applause, and Richard and Jennifer and Baldwin Subaru. So, but just wrapping up, and I'll let Danny speak for a second, but I appreciate all of you coming. This is something new that we wanted to try to do for the art community, and filming a live episode is not easy. I told Danny if 2 people show up, I'd be happy. And we didn't send it out to hundreds and hundreds of people. We sent it out to almost everybody in here, plus about 5 to 10 more. So we appreciate you guys coming. We look forward to the episodes 4, 5, and 6 featuring Miss Lisa Condry in the back, and we'll be doing the live interview with her in a few months at the Southern Hotel. So you guys will get invites to that.
You just took my segues.
Yeah, Danny will get to speak more in episode 6. So
we're gonna have squirrel meat for everyone. 4, 5, and 6. It's gonna be great.
So thank y'all for coming out and through the red doors, benefiting St. Tammany Art Association. So thank you, Kate and Diana, and Lindsay, Inga, Danny, and guys, a big thank you, and please a round of applause, Russell and Andrew with Blue Dot. Those guys, they took Danny's idea and made it magic, and we look forward to the next 3 episodes and more after that. So thank you to Russell and Andrew and Blue Dot.
And thank you to Glenn, the only sound engineer that you can call the day before an event. And we'll get it all together for you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Y'all have a great night.